Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Andreas Micha from Auction Market Analytics. Welcome to the last part of this series, Introduction to Supply Demand Analysis. As I said in my last video, today we'll do a top-down analysis and we'll look at the euro US dollar to do that. So what you usually do is you try to find the highest and the lowest point of all data you can bring up in your chart. Obviously starting in the highest time frame of all, the monthly chart. In this case, unfortunately, I do not have all data that is available, but I do remember that the euro went down to a low of about 0.80 after it came out. That must have been around 2001, 2002, and there was demand down there. But let's work with what we have. Well, before we start with the analysis, let me say something. I want to just bring that up. There's a strong misbelief spread out among supply-demand traders that you will always find supply-demand at levels where the market started a strong move. That's not quite right. It's being preached out there by people who are, well, let's say teaching a lot of other things as well. They've never understood supply demand fully. As you can remember, probably in the last video I spoke about the difference between an initial move and a reaction. So you have to be very careful to distinguish between one and the other. Well, let's start then at the highest point we have and at the lowest on the monthly chart. So I'll mark this one up here. That is the highest supply level that we have, supply monthly. Took out a lot of demand zones on the left with this really strong down move, went into demand, went back, didn't hit supply and made another low. That makes this one another supply level. And you see this was tested, so this is a reaction which further down created fresh supply, taken out another high, and then we sold off again. That makes this one monthly supply. Just looking back, what happened before the euro topped out at around 160. As we can see, different demand zones. The last demand zone, the last important demand zone was around here. It's a bit you can see it held twice till it finally was taken out, and it was taken out from this drop, base drop, which makes it another supply zone, which was tested in February 2018, coming from down here, which is a fresh level of monthly demand. All right, so what else do we have here? There's not much to say. We'll look into a few events that happened on the weekly chart. So let's put it this way because I see I missed the high of the base. So we actually did test this demand at the end of last year. We haven't moved away very strongly. It's kind of corrective, which leads to the assumption that we might penetrate a bit further into this level. We'll see. So then let's go down to, oh, forgot to mark this one. This is monthly demand. Let's go down into the weekly. Same here. We'll go back to what is the highest point that we can see, so we won't get trapped into fake levels. And let's start with this one up here. So this one is weekly supply. Came down, took out demand with this little zone here, with this little supply here. Came back into this supply, traded down, built a base, came back, taking out this drop, base, drop. Hence this was demand down here, demand weekly. Of course it was taken out later on, so we don't leave it in the chart, but yet it's interesting to see this was taken out by this move coming from this drop, base, drop, which was then taken out here from this demand. Let's leave this in for now. What else do we have to mark in here? We have to mark this fresh weekly supply level. That was tested in April 2018. You can see our demand level was tested twice. Once it reacted very strongly, went up to supply, came down, penetrated it very deeply, bounced off into supply around here, and then took out this level. So this is fresh supply on the weekly. Then obviously down here we have to check, this is an old level of demand. All right, so let's continue this one. Tested it 3 times, sold off, went through everything that was demand on the left side. There was quite violent sell-off in 2014. And here you can see how demand kept the market up for a couple months before it traded into supply, which was actually then this level taken out here with this little supply above here, which was immediately tested before going further down. So this level was broken. That was broken by this fresh supply. Came further down, drop, base, drop was tested. We then went through and went back into this already tested demand zone. Since then went sideways, made another low, came up, finally took out this supply zone, created fresh demand. Oops. Let's do it again. This is weekly demand and came into weekly supply, which was the drop, base drop from 2014. Traded through this level of demand with a small drop, base drop that has been tested after twice. And that's our past 2 years, which have been very slow overall in Forex markets. You can tell from the candles how volatility has gone down significantly. We have a fresh level of demand in here, which was recently tested. If we go back to the monthly chart, we can tell that the monthly level of demand is divided into two levels of demand on the weekly chart. So that leads to the assumption that we might actually go through this one and find a final bottom down here. Well, we're not trying to predict, we'll be just trading whatever happens, but it kind of looks like it because we've gone very far into this level and this one seems to be waiting down there. All right, so now let's see what else do we have to mark in here. We've marked primary levels so far. I'm not going to go into the difference between the primary and the secondary level today. I'll do that in the following videos while doing my weekly analysis. But I can tell you so far that it's smaller levels that you would define better on a smaller time frame. But as you can tell here, marking it as weekly supply has held the market down. There's a lot of mini structure in all of these movements that you can always see a lot better in the next lower time frame, of course. So let's go down to the daily time frame. Same here, we go as far back as possible. In this case, we're going to go down back to 2018, which is the highest high within a couple years, and we'll mark the levels from here. So this is supply that has been tested twice before we actually traded down. We broke out of this big base with this tiny level of supply, took out a few levels on the left side just to see how that works out. See, this level was the supply that took out this level. We tested it right away and went further down. Traded into something that was on this side here, on the left side. That was demand. Bounced off it. Obviously was taken out later, so I'll take it out. In terms of fresh supply, we've got this level here. That is supply, and that was tested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Last test we built a little base, came down, created a fresh level of supply in here, which was tested immediately and further on in 2019. Since then we've gone down, left a fresh level of supply in here, which was tested in March. Further down you can tell every level of demand on the left side was taken out, so we don't need to put them in. So then in May we actually managed to reverse a little bit, took out supply, secondary supply. Now this at some level was primary level of supply, which was then taken out here. The first test was here, so this was not primary demand. That's why it came down to this level down here, which is a bit small. Went further up, did not quite reach this zone above, traded down and created fresh supply. Secondary supply down here, which was tested twice. We went further down, took out supply on this reversal, then came down again, which makes this supply, which has been tested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and we are at the current level in the euro. So this one down here is this a fresh level of demand? Let's go back. Oh, there is something on the left side, so we need to mark our levels of demand, which is down here. There is a nice drop base rally. Let's see if I... All right, so going back, yep, we hit it quite nicely, came out of it. This secondary supply was taken out, so we took out all this supply, so this is a level of demand. Tested up here, came down into demand, came down into demand again, took out supply and took out supply on this side, so this makes this demand, which was tested recently, pushed the market further into this supply zone, and we came down into a zone that is a reaction to this demand. If we go down into the 4-hour chart, we see a fresh level of demand in here. That's where we tested, went up into supply. Well, you can tell it's always the same procedure. Nothing new under the sun, as the great William D. Genn used to say. Let's go back into the daily chart. Let's use this level as an example of how I modify my levels once they're hit, once they're tested. Once I do put it on top of this bar, assuming that all limit orders have been taken out to this point. When it hits it again, I do the same thing, lift it up, so all limit orders consumed. Same thing here. All limit orders consumed, and now this level is being left with just this tiny little bit of potential orders sitting here. Well, that's how you do a top-down supply demand analysis. Obviously, there are levels where you can put limit orders. There are others where it's not really feasible to put limit orders. That's a matter of price action and other reasons that I won't get into today. But using these levels in a simple way of looking into smaller time frames to generate trades. I'm sure everybody has his personal trade setup, and if you just apply your own setup within a level of demand or supply, you'll see that you will have a really high winning rate instead of just using every signal anywhere it appears. Well, I hope that was helpful so far. I hope you liked the series of introduction videos. I would really much appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would like to subscribe to the channel, I will try to do English videos, as many as possible. I'll try to do the same content I do in German. I've been concentrating on the launch of the channel in Germany for now, but I will promise to keep up in English as well. For all that are interested, please support the channel, and the more you support, the more I will do videos and share as much knowledge as possible with all you. All right, thank you very much. Thanks for your attention, and see you soon. Bye bye.